Hey, this your boy J Ray back with another live stream. As always, today is Tech Tuesday. Happy 4th of July to everybody. I pray everybody's having a good 4th of July, eating some good barbecue, eating some good food off the grill. I hope y'all are enjoying everything. Shout out to all my veterans, to all the men and women who are currently in the armed forces. Thank you so much for allowing us to be able to celebrate and continue to celebrate 4th of July. Thank you, thank you, thank you. As always, if you're new to the stream, please hit that like button, pound that subscribe button, and drop a comment in the comment section. As soon as I get to 100 subscribers, we will be doing a giveaway on this channel. So, for all my older subscribers, as you know, today is Tech Tuesday. This is the day that we talk about all the technology that's been going on. I've been off for a week, had family coming in, issues, stuff like that. Anyway, just took some time off to kind of hang out with family and be with family. And thank you to everybody that supported me during that. So let's get in. Ow, and I got some. Well, anyway, let's get into this. So, first thing I want to talk about is OnePlus 5. So, the OnePlus 5 came out for about $500. You can get 8 gigs of RAM, 128 gigabytes of storage with an 835 Snapdragon processor in it. The phone, from what I've seen, I do not personally own the phone, but from what I've seen, the phone has been just super, super fast. It's got a 5.5-inch screen, 1080p panel on the front of it. And, you know, like I said, I don't personally own it, but the thing is blazing fast. And my thoughts on it is that it's not a bad phone. It's not a bad phone at all. I think for $500, you know, and this was my thing about it, and this is what I've told several people. You know, for the iPhone 8 or the iPhone edition or whatever they're gonna call it, the newest one that we're all kind of waiting with bated breath to see what it's going to look like, to see what features it's going to have, to see what iOS 11 is going to bring, and so on and so on. If that phone's going to be around $1,000 for this phone, my thinking is, why do I want to spend $1,000 on this iPhone when I can spend when I can spend $500 on OnePlus and be just fine, you know? I mean, because honestly, why would I want to spend that much for one phone? So for $1,000 for iPhone, for Apple's products, I could get 2 OnePlus 5s, OP5. But then we come back to, okay, I have a bunch of accessories that come with my Apple Watch. That come with Apple. For instance, my MacBook, my 2 Apple TVs, my Apple Watch. So I'm pretty heavy invested in Apple's ecosystem, and I like Apple's ecosystem. I just don't, and this sounds so bad. I don't particularly care for the price, you know, the Apple price or whatever. I mean, say what you want. Apple makes good products. They've always made really, really good products. Well, I say always made. You know, the MacBooks, the Mac Pros, stuff like that, you know, have been really, really good products. But that Apple tax, man. If Apple was to say, okay, we're going to let these phones go for $600, $700, whatever. I mean, that's still expensive, but you got to pay. You got to pay for good quality products. It's kind of like you get what you pay for. But I mean, but my thing is with Android is if I get the OnePlus 5, and the OnePlus 5 is pretty much future proof. They're going to make sure with 8 gigabytes of RAM, it's not going to really have any of the major hiccups that other Android manufacturers has had, and OnePlus seems to keep it fairly stock. There's not any special on the Oxygen OS. There's not like a whole bunch of gimmicks or skins or nothing like that. It's relatively stock Android, which is good. I think that's the way to go if you're going to run it. Now, question being, how long will OnePlus be able to upgrade to the newest and latest Android software that's coming out? The other thing that I have a problem with is finding a decent Android smartwatch, because as I've said many, many times, I use my smartwatch daily. I mean, I'm all the time. I all the time have it on. I'm all the time using it. So that's kind of the other issue is, okay, when is Google going to bring a Pixel watch? Now, speaking of Google, I did see some renders of the new Pixel 2. I think that's supposed to drop, and if it looks anything like those renders look, man, that thing is nice. Very nice. Very, very nice. But again, it comes down to, okay, Google, what are you offering me between if I jump from Apple to Google, what are you offering me? Like, what kind of support are you giving my device? How long are you going to support my device? Do I have to worry about malware or anything, or rogue apps or anything on my device? And I'm just saying that. But seriously, how long are you going to support my device? Because I got up to 5 years on my iPhone, and I got it upside down. Sorry about that. My Nexus 6 will be done away with this year, and that'll be it. Which is kind of weird, considering that I'm running Google Fi on it, the Google Fi network, but I haven't had this phone that long. I think I might have had it a year, 2 years. Yeah, 2 years. I might have had it 2 years. And I mean, I don't know. I feel like being an iOS user, I'm so used to Apple being polished. I'm used to Apple being easy to use, very intuitive, like you don't have to think about it. And I know a lot of people say, well, iOS is boring, but that's the whole thing. If it's boring, then that means it's working. It's doing exactly as it should. There's not a whole lot of problems. There's not really. I haven't had any major problems. I mean, every now and then I had to do a soft reset or whatever, but other than that, no major problems. Nothing major that I can speak of, and it's been a very, very good phone. Really can't say the same for my Nexus that I got. I mean, like Android Marshmallow came out. Well, not Marshmallow. Let's see. What's the newest one? Nugget. Android Nugget came out, and I had to wait forever to get Nugget. Then the thing with the voice assistant, I kept trying to use Google Now, and it would not, it would not do the things that everybody else was doing, and I was like, why? Why is this so difficult? And that's the thing about it. I know iOS seems boring. You can't customize it. You can't do a whole lot of things to it. You can't. It's there's not a whole lot you can do in iOS because iOS is restricted. But at the same time, you know what you're getting. You know what's going to happen. You know that there's going to be this quality that you don't have to worry about some of the things that you have to worry about Android. And a lot of people argue otherwise. Now, the things I like about Android is the fact that when Google Assistant really started working, Google Assistant was really nice. The way that I can customize anything, like right now I got Nova Launcher on it, and I really, really like that. Really, really enjoy it. And why is this popping up? I do not know. Hold on, guys. I do not know why that's popping up, but there's just things that that there's good and bad about either one. Where the One Plus comes in, and I would even say probably the HTC U11. Well, no, I'm put it out there on the One Plus right now. The One Plus is dang near stock. They seem that they had quite a few updates when One Plus came out, and everybody was updating like crazy. The camera on the One Plus is nice. The camera is really, really nice. Now, One Plus has got the dash charge. It has, hey, Tech, how you doing, man? Thank you so much for joining, Tech. Thank you. I pray you're having a great 4th of July today. Thank you for joining. I greatly appreciate it. Like I was saying, the One Plus has NFC. Would I have liked to seen One Plus go with a wireless charger? Yeah, sure. I'd like to see One Plus use wireless charging, but that's not the end all be all. You're getting this phone for $500. It's a very, very good phone. Like I said, there's always positives and negatives to everything. And I think my big negative about Android is if you're only able to choose one handset, if you're only able to choose whether it's going to be, if it's going to be Samsung, if it's going to be Moto, if it's going to be OnePlus, if it's going to be Pixel, or if it's going to be iPhone or HTC U11, LG G6, LG G6 Plus, LG Stylo 3, I believe it is. Then, now you're getting into some territory that is like, okay, now I have to look at out of all these phone groups that I got, out of all these phones that I can use, who is going to support this phone? Who is going to give me the updates? And who is going to support it the longest? Because you're spending your hard-earned money on these phones, and you don't want to spend your hard-earned money on a phone and have it to where every 2 years you're having to upgrade to a phone. Most people cannot afford to upgrade every 2 years to a brand new phone. Some people can only afford to upgrade every 3 years, every 4 years, or every 5 years when the phone is just beyond when you can't even use the phone anymore. Tech for Your Needs says, yes, took it easy today. Big thumbs up to that. I know that feeling. stock or overlay skins to options to choose. And yeah, and see, that's another thing that we really have to look at, because now you got to decide, okay, if I go with a Pixel, it's going to be stock. If I go with Samsung, it's going to have TouchWiz. If I go with LG, it's going to have whatever skin they got. If I go with Oppo, if I go with OnePlus, it's going to have the Oxygen OS. If I go with the Xiaomi, then it's going to have the MIUI, or whatever skin, So then you get down and it's like, okay, if I go with Apple, it's going to be iOS, So now you're getting into, okay, now I have to choose this phone, and I have to choose what's going to last the longest, and what's going to be most beneficial, right? Now, when you're thinking about iOS, here's the thing that you got to remember about iOS, and I'll give you a prime example. My MacBook Pro is a 2013 MacBook Pro. It has a 750 gig hard drive. It's got 8 gigs of RAM. It's got a Core i7 processor in it. I believe it's got an i7. No, it's got an i. Anyway, it had the newest. It had the top of the line at the time, right? Now, this thing costed me a good amount of money when I first bought it, but it's gotten every single OS that Apple has put out since I've had it. It had Mountain Lion. No, it had It had Snow Leopard when I got it. This is how old it is. Snow Leopard, Lion, Mountain Lion, Maverick, and then what is that? Yosemite or whatever. Anyway, and now it'll probably get High Sierra. I think High Sierra is the last one that I'm going to get with this. But the initial shock of it. So when everybody says, well, Apple is really, really expensive. Yes, Apple is really expensive. But the thing that you got to remember when you're looking at whether it's a mobile device or even a computer or anything like that, is the fact that this machine, I haven't had to do nothing to it. I haven't had to do some of the things that I have to do on PC. Run an antivirus. Make sure that I got enough storage for the Windows updates, because the older that a Windows operating system, the more it grows, the bigger the updates get. And when the updates, when you first bought the computer, the update might have been like that big around. Now the update's like this big around, and your storage is like that. So you run out of storage, and then your computer starts running slow. Then it don't want to do this. Then it don't want to do that. I had the last Windows that I had was a Dell. What was that? A Dell 4600 Dimension 4600, whatever. Anyway, tower. And it's like I said, I had to replace that one after like 2 years of ownership, that tower, Dell 4600 something. And so that's where we get into, is Apple, yes, it's really, really expensive to start off with, but they're going to be supporting it for many, many, many years, 6 years, 7 years, whatever, on down the line. Now, kind of the same with Android. Android, I don't have to pay a whole bunch of money to get into Android's ecosystem. As a matter of fact, I can get an Android phone, a decent Android phone, for around $200, give or take. I could get an Honor 8, rock that for $400, I believe it is. OnePlus, $500, but the thing when we talk about what phones we're going to get, I think that we as tech people forget that most people try to keep their phones for several years, because we can't afford to upgrade. we can't afford to go out and get the latest and greatest. Tech for Your Needs says right now I'm rocking my iPhone 7. The only thing I don't like is the form factor, too small. But when I went to buy it, they don't. Oh, when I went to buy it, they didn't have the 7 Plus in December. Had to order it and wait. Yeah. And like me, I've been using iPhones for a while now, and I gotta say the design of this iPhone, yeah, man, it's boring. The design is boring. The form factor is boring. 5.5-inch screen. I actually prefer the screen on my Nexus 6. I actually like that bigger screen phone. That's why I'm excited about the 8. But like I was saying, back to what I was saying, I don't know if I want to spend, because I know if I spend whatever it's going to cost for this new iPhone that's coming out, whether it's $1,000, whether it's whatever, I know that I can rock that phone for a while, at least 4 years. I can rock that phone, maybe 5 years, possibly 5 years. I can rock this phone and not really have a lick of trouble out of it, So I could rock that phone if I come on hard times and be fine with it, Android, I can't really say that about Android. I really can't, because this Nexus that I like, it's not going to be supported next year. It might get a few security updates, but that's it. I mean, and I'm just like, why? I can understand technology gets obsolete. All technology gets obsolete. But there comes a point in time where you see planned obsolescence, where people say, okay, we're going to build this phone, but this phone is only going to last 2 years. And then after 2 years, they're going to have to be forced to buy another. If they don't buy another phone, then, they're just going to have that, and it's not going to be any good. It's not going to be able to get on the internet, or it's not going to be able to run this or run that. That's crazy. That's crazy. Tech for Your Needs says I was focused on the matte black and didn't bother asking for another color. After a month, I was saying, why didn't I ask for a plus in any color? Oh well, didn't come to mind as not. Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. That's like when the white iPhone 6s when the white iPhone 6 Plus came out. I waited for a little bit. I didn't go and get it at launch. I didn't do none of that. I said I want a white iPhone 6 Plus, and I got it. Now the guy was like, well, we don't have that, but we got the regular 6 or whatever. And I was like, I don't want the 6. I want the Plus. Well, we don't have any pluses in right now, and had I just been like, okay, I gotta have one, then I'd have been in the same situation. But I mean, it's all about what you like, man. That's my thing. I don't knock other people for not getting what you like. If you like matte black and they didn't have it in the Plus, but they had it in the smallest one, get it. No big deal. I mean, if you wanted white, get it. If you wanted the product red, get it. And that's another thing. That's another thing that I really like about Android. Android, there's so many choices. If you want a 4-inch screen, if you want, a big screen for content, if you want small form factor, you can get it. If you need wireless charging, you can get it with wireless charging. If you want one that you can kind of use as all around, has a real good ecosystem, you can find that. It's really good. But the debate really boils down to, and here's where I think the debate really boils down to when we're talking about Umbro. Hey man, how you doing? We're talking about Android and Apple ecosystems, affordability, stuff like that. Um, what it really boils down to, when we start talking about how Android has choice and Apple is closed ecosystem and everything, what it what it what it really boils down to is open source versus a closed source. So we got Android over here that says, hey, we'll allow you to customize your phone and do anything you want to your phone that you can do. Apple says, hey, we know how our phones run best. We design the chips, we design the processors. We only allow certain things on our phone, but you'll never have a bad experience because this phone is going to work and operate the way that we designed it. So that's when we get into talking about this debate, when we get into to talking about Android or iOS, it's really about what you, the consumer, what you as the person, what you as the tech person really enjoy about using in that ecosystem. I know Tech for Your Needs, Umbro, there's a lot of guys that enjoy just tinkering and changing up, using ROMs, changing up the icons and stuff like that. Then you have other people that just want reliability, that leave the phone stock, that leave the phone the way it is because they want it to run. They want it to run like it did when it first came out. Umbro says Apple has 5 years of updates and local store near your house compared to most Android phones that don't have that or will ever get that. Exactly. But that's not to say that Android's bad. That's just because Apple has a store and you're getting updates and stuff. I think OnePlus is changing that because OnePlus has put out updates like that, like super quick. Somebody said, oh, well, something's wrong with this. And OnePlus was like, hey, no problem, we'll take care of it. They've been pushing out some heavy updates. And I think you'll find that with Google. With Google's own Pixel series of devices, you will find out that Google pushes those updates really fast, that you get those updates rather frequently, Now, that being said, it's when we talk about as tech people, we always want the latest and greatest, the best, the fastest, the most powerful machines that we can get our hands on, compared to an average consumer that is working 40 hours a week or more than 40 hours a week, who wants something that just works, and that's what I was saying. It's not, to me personally, and this is my personal opinion, to me personally, it doesn't seem fair to have a plan obsolete, for something to be planned to be obsolete in a given time frame. It's not right, in my opinion, for Google to say, okay, well, these phones are only going to get the latest and greatest operating system for 2 years. After that, you'll get security updates, for major stuff. You'll get security updates, but then you're just going to have to get a new phone. And Apple's like, okay, look, we know you spent a ton of money on this phone. We know that you spent $700 on this phone. And, our phone is designed not to have to be upgraded every year or every 2 years unless you want to. We'll support the phone. We'll give you security updates. We'll give you everything that you need for 5 years. And so that's what we kind of get into. Now, we have a lot of things that are coming up that we're starting to see saturate. And hold on 1 minute. Tech for Your Needs says, unless you're wrong, unless you ROM Android phones, then you get the update. not from the manufacturer. Google Phone Pixel gets updates, but not more than the iPhone. So tech for your needs, you know, he's right. He's right. If you ROM your phone, if you're ROMing your phone and everything, like there's a couple of people that ROM their phones because their phone is so old that the manufacturer quit supporting that, you know, and that's not cool, you know. And Google says, well, we're going to update it, but we're only going to update it for so many. So we're going to update it only for so many years, you know, only for 2 years, you know, and that's not good, you know. Apple says, okay, yeah, we're going to update it and keep updating it for 5 years, you know. That's man, it's and again, it goes to, you know, we're talking about Google and Samsung, you know, Apple. Okay, let me back up a little bit. Amazon introduced the Alexa home speaker, right? So we got Amazon that had the speaker where you could talk to Alexa, tell her to order you what you wanted from Amazon, whether it be food or pantry stuff or whatever. You can just say, hey, Alexa, order me some toothpaste from Amazon. And Alexa says, okay, I found some toothpaste. It'll be here by Monday at da-da-da-da-da, right? Shortly after that, you see Google. Google says, oh, we got a home speaker too. We got a home speaker. Okay, cool. At WWDC, Apple says, we got you. We got a home speaker, Siri built in, no problem. Okay. Then Samsung says, hey, we got a home speaker too, and it's going to be running Bixby, and we're going to have it out. It should be out here before too long. Here's what I'm getting at. So you got all these companies that have these speakers, right? These home built-in assistant speakers. Do I want to use a speaker with a built-in assistant? Do I want to use one of these with an ecosystem that's fully supported, that's fully integrated with each other? Or do I want to use one that has an ecosystem that's kind of started, but I have to end up getting a new phone every 2 years, you know, or every 3 years? Or do I want to use this? Do I want to use this speaker that, okay, it'll work, it's great, I can order stuff off the internet and stuff like that, but it can't do other stuff. I have to open up an app on my phone to be able to do certain stuff with these speakers, you know. So, you know, we get into, okay, you want people to move into your ecosystem. You want people to use multiple devices in that ecosystem. You want people to be able to just dive in, you know, have Chromecast throughout all the house. Have your Google Home, have multiple Google Homes through the house, have it work with your Android devices and stuff like that. But why would I want to join that ecosystem when you can't even support the phone? You see what I'm saying? It's kind of like if I tell you that I'm going to come to your house and I'm going to be at your house every day at 12 o'clock. And I come to your house every day at 12 o'clock, and I do that, and I do that, and I do that, then you get used to me coming, right? So when I don't come or I don't show up, you're like, hey, you know, what happened, right? But what if I said, okay, I'm going to come to your house every day for a month? You know, you bought this product for me, but I'm only going to come to your house. I'm only going to come to your house for a month, and then that's it. Well, why would I want your product? Why? Because, you know, I'm setting up a precedent. I'm setting up a evidence, you know, to 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 why you shouldn't use my ecosystem. If you're only going to support my phone for 2, 3 years, why do I want to use your product? How long is your product going to last? Is your product only going to last 2 or 3 years? Is that as long as you're going to be able to update it? Is 2 or 3 years? I mean, I would rather use a product that you're going to update for 5 years. Oh, hold on, guys. I would rather use a product that you're going to support for 5 years with a trusted ecosystem with a proven track record. Let's see. Umbro says AI fight and VR AR war. Let's see. That's the future. Want people to have no bezels display. Now, I've talked about that. Yes, the future is AI. I will give you that. I do believe it's going to be AI all the way, as a matter of fact. Let's see. VR, I'm not sure. VR, virtual reality is cool. The way Apple showed it off at WWDC this year was really, really cool. But it's not one of those things that I think is going to make a big splash. I think AI is the bigger fight than VR. If Apple can come out with some glasses that do augmented reality over the lenses over what you're looking at, that's really cool. That is really cool. Then yeah, I can see AR there being a big thing about AR. But from what I'm seeing, it's more AI. It's more the intelligent assistant to be able to help you. And yeah, I honestly think phones are outdated. I think phones are like the 8-track cassette player of our time. I think phones have a number on their back. I think it's not going to be long, and we're going to have virtual assistants in our earphones, on our watches. I think the phone itself is antiquated. I think it's just old. CNET biased on iPhone. Most tech YouTube channels and tech websites hating on iPhone. Why all the hate? A lot of that, and everybody says, well, this one is biased, that one is biased. I don't care what article you read. I don't care what website you go to, what news organization you go to. Everybody is biased. Point blank. Everybody is biased. I don't care. And you say, well, how, because if you use a product and you like that product, guess what? You're biased. You're biased. You're going to be biased no matter what, and that's just the bottom line of it. Now, you can either agree with that opinion or you cannot, or you cannot. Most of the time you'll see like 9 to 5 Mac. 9 to 5 Mac, not only do they have 9 to 5 Mac, but they have 9 to 5 Google. So you got one that's dedicated to Apple people and one that's dedicated to Google people. Journalists in journalism, they're always going to be biased. I don't think unless you're talking to the person directly, and you got a recorder there, then I think that's the only way. But when you're forming an opinion on something and you got something that you like, yeah, you're going to be biased. I mean, that's just, as far as why all the hate, I think the reason Apple gets a lot of the hate that they get is because, it's boring. People are like, well, the iPhone's boring. You can't do this. You can't do that. You're not able to do all these things. But here's the thing: even though the iPhone is boring and everything, you have to really look at what it's doing, because what it's doing, it does extremely well and has done extremely well. Multi-touch, pinch to zoom, the way they integrated the fingerprint sensor in with the home button, the camera, the software, FaceTime, iMessage. Yeah, it's boring, but you have to look at what Apple is done, what they have done, and what they continue to do. Yes, the OS itself, yes, it's boring, but it's reliable. And I think people hate that because they feel like Apple hasn't innovated anything or has innovated anything, that they just bought this patent or did this or waited till somebody did this and they implemented it. You know, Oreo Gonzalez, hey man, thank you so much. And thank you, Tech for Your Needs and Umbro for joining in. Thank you, Oreo, for joining in. Oreo says, do you think AI will take complete control of our lives? As far as like a Skynet thing, no. And I think AI only takes control of your life if you let it take control of your life. I look at AI as a butler or a maid, you know, where when I get older and I'm not able to walk around the house really well or able to, how can I put this? And able to do a lot of the things that I'm able to now, like I'm retired, elderly. You know, think of somebody that's 80, 90 years old, right? And they kind of have a hard time doing things, right? I look at AI as that butler or that maid, right? Where when my front doorbell rings, Siri tells me the mailman is at the front door. Or you have a visitor at the front door. Do you want me to tell them to leave a message? You know, stuff like that. Or when I wake up in the middle of the night and I can't see because my eyes are bad and I don't know that there's anything on the floor or anything, I can tell Siri, turn on the bathroom light because that's where I'm going. And Siri turns on the bathroom light. Or I can say, turn on the living room light because I heard something in the living room, or something like that. And I can say, hey, turn on, oops, sorry about that, guys. I can say, turn on the living room light, or set reminders, which I use that. I use that a lot to tell her, hey, set this reminder. Remind me on this date at this time that I need to do this. Set this timer. Find me this recipe. Find me this video. You know, that's what I look at these assistants, is that there's so much that they can do, even in the car, you know. And I think if you have everything connected together, like your lights, your door locks, your thermostats, stuff like that, you know, I think it only helps, you know, and I think it will only take over complete control of your life if you allow it to take control of your life. But if you set it up to help you, to help do the things that you're not able to do, you know, think of it this way. Think if somebody has a disability, you know what I'm saying? If somebody has a disability and they're not able to do something, but they're able to tell their assistant, hey, I want you to do this. Or they're able to say, hey, I need you to do that, right? Better yet, look at the AR technology, augmented reality, right? Let's say you have somebody that can't talk. They can only do sign language, right? They can't hear nothing, right? What if when somebody was at your doorbell, the assistant sensed that somebody was at your doorbell and all the lights in the house flicker to let you know that somebody's at the doorbell? Or what if you set a timer to go off and you're wearing your watch, but you can't hear the timer, so your assistant makes your watch flash real fast, real bright, real fast, and it vibrates real heavy, so you know that your timer is there. You know, that to me, that's how I look at AI. That's how I look at things that technology can really help. It can help people to be safe. You know, it can help people to save lives. You know, if there's a tornado, let's say there's a tornado coming, but you live out in the country and there's not a tornado siren around there. What if all of a sudden the TV came on real loud, the lights came on, and all the alarms in your house just started going off, like your fire alarm started going off, wah, 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 you know, and you wake up and you say, oh, okay, what's happening? And you hear a voice say, there's a tornado, gotta take shelter immediately, you know, and you have to run in there. Those are the things that I think technology is really, really good for, that technology can really, really help people out. Umbro says people are going to lose jobs. Taxi driver, bus driver, train driver, truck driver, all going to lose jobs because of AI self-driving cars. Not necessarily, because you have to look. Okay, just because we may have AI, right? Just just because we have AI, Tesla has AI right now in their electric cars. But the thing about it is that it's required, even though you're using that AI, it's required that somebody be in that vehicle to hold on to the steering wheel just in case. You know, there are things about that, because even though everybody's always afraid, well, people are going to lose jobs, people are going to. There's always been technology that has replaced manpower. Think about it now. As we look back in history, people were using a hammer and a chisel to cut big blocks of stone, and to be able to use ropes and pulleys to move these big blocks of stone. Then what happened? Oh, well, the jackhammer got invented. People started using the jackhammer. What took 10 people with a chisel and hammer now takes 2 people with a jackhammer. And what took 30, 40, 50 people to move that stone with pulleys and ropes now takes one person in a crane to pick it up and carry it off wherever it needs to go. So you're always going to have that. But the thing is that you adapt. You can't be a dinosaur. You cannot sit in the same thing and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to continue to do. This is always going to be what I'm always going to do, and not adapt, not learn, not move forward. Because if you continue to be a dinosaur, then when that meteor hits, you're going to be extinct like a dinosaur, and then you're going to be looking for a job. So you have to continue to evolve. You have to continue to learn. You have to continue to read. You have to continue to study. You have to continue to put yourself out there when something new comes up on the job. Okay, man, I'm used to using this chisel and this hammer to knock these rocks out to cut this brick. But you know what? I see this dude, he's talking about this jackhammer. Let me go and check it out, and I'm going to use it. I'm going to be the first one. Let me use it, because if I use it and I gain that knowledge of what it is and how to use it, then I just became an indispensable employee, because now they're looking at me, hey, man, we're going to move you up to this position because we want you to train all these other guys how to use these jackhammers. So you can't think like that. Okay, yeah, AI is coming. Yes, there's going to be AI in cars. There should be a lot better, a lot safer roadways. Should be less wrecks. Should be a better flow, a consistent flow of traffic. Think about it like this. When you get in a car and you say, okay, I'm going to travel and I'm going to take a 1,200-mile drive from where I'm at to this other part of the country, right? You have to get in the car, you have to crank it up, then you got your music going, then you got this going, then you got your phone charging, and then you might take a phone call, whatever, and you're looking for these landmarks, you're looking for this stuff, and all of a sudden you drive past your exit. Now you're like, okay, where do I go? So you're looking at the navigation and everything, and you're like, okay, well, that said da-da-da-da-da, and I was thinking that, crap, I was thinking that my exit was up here. Okay, well, with AI, you tell it, you say, hey, I want to go over here. I want to go over here, and this is where I want to go, but we're on the way driving, and the AI automatically moves over to that lane, and the rest of the traffic sees that you want to get over, so the rest of the traffic allows you to get over while never skipping a beat. You move over, hit your exit, and go on to your destination. So there's pros and cons about it. Wouldn't people lose construction jobs to AI, because AI could work nonstop, making people's jobs, making people pointless. Okay, you need to look at manufacturing plants for the answer to this. We need to look at what Ford Motor Company has done on their manufacturing plants. Do you know that yes, Ford Motor Company had a bunch of people that used to assemble their cars nonstop. They used to do the welding, used to do the painting, used to work on the assembly line and everything. Now you got a lot of robots that that are doing that. You know, you got a lot of robots that had took away some of those jobs that those guys was doing. Now, what's the trade-off? Better precision, an assembly line that doesn't get tired, that doesn't have to take a break. But here's the thing. Okay, you say, well, they lost their jobs because they could work nonstop. But you have to have people that have to work on those machines. Then the machines are not having parts supplied to them, so you have to have people that deliver them parts to them. You have to have people that put the parts on the bin and carry the bin to the machine so the machine could put the part on. You have to have people that put the wire for the machine for the welding rods so it can keep welding and consistently weld. So because you're not assembling the actual car doesn't mean that people are not needed, that people are not needed to be able to feed the machines in order for the machines to continue to keep working. You have to have somebody in the office, in the program office, to be able to make sure that the program is going right, that if there's any hiccups, they're able to get into the computer, type on there, and make adjustments to the programming if something was to go wrong. See, we can't say, okay, well, these machines took this job, okay, but what other avenues of the job are being created, right? You have to have somebody that maintains the machines. You have to have somebody that's able to read the programming of the machines. You have to have somebody that's able to bring parts to the machine, and you still have to have people to do some of the fine finishing touches that the machines are not quite able to do, you know. So there's several different key components with it. Let's see. Umbro says, just have to find another job, pal, get educated in coding or learn to code AI for a new job. AI might fight with humans, machine versus man. Not necessarily. I don't think so. I don't think AI has gotten to the point to where it's self-aware, you know. Even if AI did get to that point, humans would kill each other. We'd kill each other off anyway. So, I mean, it's, you know, it is what it is, you know. But people could easily hack AI to do that job in taking care of the mechanics. Yeah, but you're always going to have that. You're always going to have that. But what you're still going to need humans around, see, because AI can only do what humans program it to do. We have to remember that AI is built by humans, and anything built by humans is inherently flawed because there's always something that goes wrong. You know, you've always heard of that. Whatever can go wrong will go wrong, and when it goes wrong, it shall be multiple of wrongs. You know, so even though it's built up, even though the AI is you know, doing a good job and doing what it's supposed to, and maybe even replacing a few people on that job, you still have to have humans there. They still have to do that. You know, you still have to have people able to maintain these machines, to be able to drive the car off the lot or load it onto a ship or any number of things. I mean, yeah, we can say, well, you know, AI is going to take over everything. AI is going to do this. AI is only going to go as far as we let it go, you know. I mean, that's the whole thing of it. Prime example, look at the multiple rovers that they sent to Mars. One of them, there was some of them that got sent and they got there and they didn't work. the coding. Something went wrong with the coding. Something went wrong with the machine itself. Then they got one there and it's been working great. Change its own wheel, fix itself, whatever. But people, uh, people had to program that. People had to do that. Hackers will get into AI and make it crazy and go out of control. Hackers do that anyway. Hackers do that with your computer, with your phone, with anything. I mean, you know, it's when we get in and we're talking about AI, there is no coding that's ever being created by man. The only coding that you could even consider uh, hack proof, or even if it was hack proof, is a code that nobody but one person knows. Is a code that's so different and so unlike anything that we've ever seen. And the person that knows how to program the code, that knows how to work the code, that knows how to maintain the code, made it and then died. And it's a self-evolving code. It's a code that keeps going and going and going and going and keeps growing and growing and growing. Um, you know, and even then, somebody will find the key. Somebody will say, "Oh, he left a back door here in case he had to do anything." I think it's the same thing. Oreo says this is off topic, but there is a Titanfall mobile game. Oh, sweet, sweet, sweet. Heck yeah. I haven't checked. You know what? I really don't do a whole lot of mobile gaming on my phones. I play like dominoes. I got Super Mario Run on there. I got, let's see, what else do I got? And I'll tell you real quick. I got, Fast Lane, Deadheads, Chuck Norris, Scramble, Chess, Checkers. I got a Battlefield app and Candy Crush. And that's about all I got, man. That's about all I got on there. But I think, to get back on the subject, I think to be scared of AI, I think it's kind of not a thing to worry about. I'm not scared of AI. I don't think that AI is a bad thing. I think AI is going to be. I think it's going to be really, really helpful. I really do. Oreo says it's coming out soon. Okay, thank you, ma'am. And to give me a drink of water, guys. But like I said, AI to me is awesome. I think it's the next best thing that's coming. And it's only going to get better, and especially for elderly people, and especially for you young guys, where you can tell Siri or Google now, you can say, hey, I'm searching for a job where this is what I want to do. Are there any jobs in this area? Go ahead and send my resume, send everything in. Where you don't have to type a resume, like the AI does it for you, and it puts it out there and says, hey, look, yeah, this is what he's done. This is where he's been, blah, blah, blah. I think that's a good thing. I think the thing that about AI, I think that's kind of weird. I think it makes people lazy, myself included. To just be able to say, hey, do this, or hey, how do I spell this, or hey, send the text, and this is what I want to say, and you tell it what you want it to say, and it spells every word, the punctuation and everything, does it completely, without you having to think about it, So I'm waiting for the Star Trek, for computer. Tell me when, or the Iron Man, the Jarvis. That's what I'm waiting for. That's what, I'm waiting for the day where I really don't have to carry a wallet, or where I don't have to worry about my identity on the internet, or my health, what my pulse is, what my heart rate is, you know, what my blood glucose level is, stuff like that. Um, I think we're living in a very, very awesome time right now to be able to have all these things coming in and being able to experience this technology. Because I tell you what, man, 70, 80 years ago, they didn't ever think we would have what we have now. If you look, and I know I've said this on the stream last time, if you look at the old Star Trek, the 1960s Star Trek, and see some of the stuff that they're using on Star Trek, when people seen that, they didn't think that this was something that they would ever see. Like, this was something when they were long passed away and gone, and now we're walking around with earbuds, with able to have Bluetooth, and able to walk around with an iPad, or just whatever technology that you like, and these things were on Star Trek, and we're getting to experience that. Now, I'm waiting on the Jetsons for the flying cars and the apartments in the clouds and stuff like that. I think that's pretty cool. I think that's real cool, as a matter of fact. And I think some of this stuff is going. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Oreo. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Sorry you have to go, but thank you so much for joining. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Let's see. Oh, man. I've been talking for an hour. You guys are awesome listening to me talk on and rant and rave and stuff like that. Thank you. I greatly appreciate it. But, it's just, we get into, that's what I was saying about Google and Apple. It depends what ecosystem you want. When we get into AI, when we get into using AI and stuff, it's eventually going to come down to, okay, who's got the better ecosystem and whose assistant works best for me. That's what it's basically gonna come down to. I don't think before long it's not gonna be Google, Samsung, or Apple. It's gonna be Bixby, Alexa, Siri, and Google Assistant. That's what it's gonna be. And everybody's gonna say, well, they can all do this, or one of them can't do that, or whatever. But if I could tell my assistant to turn on the TV, and it does it, and it tunes in, and it knows what I like, hey, man, Google going to win at the end? I don't know, man. I don't know if Google will win at the end. Because in order for Google to win at the end, Google's going to have to step its game up. Google is going to have to basically lock down this open source system that they got and really bring their A game to it. That's the thing. That's the thing with Google. And if you don't think that Google's willing to do that, look at who they just bought. They're designing their own processor chips right now. They're taking Apple's example. I'm telling you, when Andromeda or Oreo or whatever operating system, you're starting to see Google get a lot more closed than it normally is. So I think in order for Google to win per se, I think Google's going to have to lock down. They're going to have to lock down their operating system. They're going to have to lock down their OS. They're going to have to be able to keep their devices updated more than 2 years at a time. They're going to have to learn. They're going to have to learn, like you've seen at Google I/O this year, where Google I/O, it was like incremental changes. Like the biggest change that they made was to the assistant. Let's see. Google needs a local store and 4 years of updates, then it's good. I don't even think Google needs a local store. I think Google needs 4 to 5, 6 years worth of updates. Yeah, most definitely. But Google, I'm going to tell you something. Google, Apple, Samsung, and Amazon are moving to virtual assistants. That's where it's going. Because the major announcement that was at Google I/O was the virtual assistant. Major announcement that we're seeing on WWDC was Siri. We're seeing on iOS 11, we're seeing Siri has vastly improved than what it was with iOS 10. To where it's more human-like, to where it's more cognitive. That, okay, you say, how old is Michael Jordan? And it tells you how old he is. Then you say, okay, well, how much money is he worth? Oh, okay, well, how many years did he play for the Hornets or or the Bulls or whatever? And it tells you these things. AI is the next thing that's going on. And in order for Google to succeed in that area, Google's going to really have to take an Apple approach. Same thing that Samsung's doing. Look how Samsung's developing Tizen. You think Samsung's developing Tizen just because they're like, oh well, here's another thing that we can sell? No, that's not what Samsung's doing. Samsung is shoring up itself to make its own ecosystem. Their watch, it don't run Android Wear, it runs Tizen. They have a few phones that run Tizen. Samsung's fixing to break away from Google, and they're going to be running Tizen as soon as they get it going and get it. I should say get it operating right. I guess that's what I should say. But for now, they're going to be using Google. But in the long run, Samsung and Google are going to be competitors, just like Apple and Samsung are competitors. Let's see. Google does not have closed operating system. People buy it because it is open source, more freedom. Right. Yeah. Hector says there was a lot of major updates for Android under the hood. Not every OS update is going to be aesthetic. Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Is that it was kind of an incremental update. Like, we didn't see a lot of aesthetics into it. Like the major update that Google had, Hector, that I've seen that would really impress me was Google Assistant. Now, Android, they're making a lot of tweaks and stuff like this. Now, Umbro, to get back to what you were saying in there, yes, Google does have an open operating system, an open OS, but they are moving from an open source to a closed source. If you see where Android started to where Android is now, they've kind of been blocking off a lot of stuff. They've been slowly building those walls. Google has been relying on third parties and stuff like that. If Google was not thinking of going more to a closed source system, still allowing you now, you can have a closed source system and still allow people to customize and have themes and have launchers and stuff like that on your OS, but it's where, okay, we're only going to let you run this because it's an official app. We're only going to let you do this on our phones because our phones are built to work strictly for this, like this. It's not where, like when Android first came out, that you could do anything with Android, where you could do anything and everything. Now, like, there's some of the things that Android nowadays won't do that it used to do, and that's all I'm saying is that, there's a lot of things, but Android, in order for Android to compete, Android is going to have to lock down their system, not on the customization front, not on what we look at, where it's aesthetics, as Hector was saying, where it's aesthetics to where, Google's still going to let you change the theme on here. Google's still going to let you have your own custom launcher. Google's still going to let you use, but Google may not let you run, what am I thinking of? Like, ZDNet, where you do free ringtones and stuff like that. Google may not do that because it's too easy to be hacked by nefarious sources. Remember LimeWire? Everybody was downloading from LimeWire on Xbox. I mean, not on Xbox, on PC, and they were attaching viruses in LimeWire. So, Google may lock it down. Android O got small updates. iOS 11 has bigger updates compared to Android O. TechGurneet says, yes, Google is getting more closed. Yeah, exactly. Yes, that's what I'm saying, Umbro. Yes, Android O got small updates, but what you're missing is the major update that they did with Google Assistant. Assistant, man, they did a major update with Assistant. And like to point out Hector, to point out what Hector was saying, Android O, even though it looked like it was a small update, it was the under the hood stuff. It was the nuts and bolts, not the finished product, not what you and I see, what we interact with. It was the underneath. It was the nuts and bolts of the operation. iOS 11, yeah, iOS 11 had to come big this year. iOS 11 not only had to upgrade Siri, but they had to upgrade their whole UI. They had to change up their whole UI because their whole UI we have been using since iPhone 6. Well, actually, iPhone 5, iPhone 5S, iPhone 6, iPhone 6S, and now iPhone 7. So, yeah, iOS 11 had to bring it. These last few updates in iOS 10 have been incremental updates. It's been an incremental upgrade. Notice that an iPhone 6 and 6S looks the same as the iPhone 7 and iPhone 7 Plus. Let's see. Hector says, no more wave locks. Apps need to comply with certain restrictions now. Exactly. And why is that? That is because too many third-party apps, too many malware apps, too many Trojans were getting into the Google Play Store. Google had to lock it down. That's why Google continues to lock it down, because as of right now, there is no way, unless you have a Pixel phone, a Nexus phone, or a manufacturer like OnePlus or Moto that's going to push out the updates super fast. You're not. If you have some Huawei or Blue, if you have a Blue phone, Blue's not going to be pushing no updates, and you can't expect Google to push some updates out to Blue, because how many devices are running Android that you're just like, man, okay, so I got this LG, I got this Blue, I got this Huawei, I got the Xiaomi, I got the I got the OnePlus, I got all these Android phones. Google's not going to support it. So what Google's saying is, look, if you want us to support your phone, then you need to buy an official Google product. You need to buy a Pixel. Or you need to buy a OnePlus that keeps it mostly stocked and is going to push out the updates ASAP. You can't, and that's why Google's locking it down, because, see, Google has this problem that's fragmentation. They have this problem. They can't update each and every phone out there because there's so many different phones running, so many different processors running, so many different scenarios of graphics card and RAM and memory. There's no way. It's like the Wild Wild West. It's like Windows, using a Windows machine. Windows says, okay, we have this operating system. Here's the minimum that it will run. Here's the minimum specs that it's gonna run, and here's what you can max it out to, and it'll work flawless. And these manufacturers say, okay, I can build a $150 laptop computer with these minimum specs and sell it for $300. So for $150, I can build this laptop, turn around, put it up in Walmart for $200-300, and be done with it. You cannot expect that machine to receive every Windows update. I mean, even for 2 years, if you got 2 years of life out of that computer on a Windows machine, dude, that you got more than your money's worth out of it. And people get mad about it. Well, in order to have a machine that's going to be able to be supported, you have to go from an open source system to a closed system. When you go to a closed system, then that system is going to be able to be more supported because the manufacturer controls everything about it, from a software standpoint to a hardware standpoint to pushing out the updates and everything for it. There's not a third party manufacturer that's even included in that. So when we look at it that way and we say, okay, because you think about it, if Microsoft was not concerned about that, why did Microsoft come out with the Surface laptop, the Surface Pro? Why are they coming out with the Windows machine? Why did they come out with the Surface desktop? If Windows was not concerned about that, why did Windows take a page out of Apple's manufacturing and start building their own tablets, their own laptops, and their own desktops? If they weren't worried about it, if they were content with being open source and using that. So now what does Windows say? Windows says, hey, instead of buying a Dell, because Dell don't push these updates, because Dell is not going to help you out or anything because you have to fix it, buy official Microsoft hardware. Buy this Surface Pro. For the same price of that Dell desktop, you can get the Surface Pro, and we'll support it. We'll back it up. You know where it's coming from because it's made by Windows. So Google says, okay, we see what Apple's doing. Apple's closed source. Apple says, okay, if you want the best of the best, then you need to buy us because we make our own hardware. We design our own chips. We design our own graphics chips. We have our own chip that's specifically for AI that the AI fits on. Google says, okay, what do we got? We got fragmentation, slow updates. We have to run it through the carrier. The carrier has to update it. Then the carrier has to send it to your phone. You know what? Okay. Look. If you want the best Android experience, and did Google not say this? If you want the best Android experience, then you have to buy an official Nexus device. If you want the best experience that you can get on an Android, then you need to buy an official Pixel phone by Google to get the very best Android experience. I mean, I'm not making this stuff up. I'm not saying it just to be out there and stuff like that. This is stuff that we're seeing in marketing. This is stuff that they're pushing. This is stuff. Look at how Google's buying its own chipset to manufacture and design its own chips now. Google is slowly closing, whether a lot of people know it or not. Google is slowly going to a closed ecosystem. Microsoft's pushing out its own stuff. It's trying to build up its ecosystem with the Surface line of products. Look at the phone. Microsoft said, hey, we're not done with phones yet. We're coming out with the Surface phone. We don't know when they're coming out with the Surface phone, but they're coming out with the Surface phone. Okay, cool. Great, you're coming out with a Surface phone. Microsoft's building up its own ecosystem. Samsung, prime example. There was a rumor that Apple was coming out with the Apple Watch, right? Samsung said, dude, we got that. Samsung came out with the Gear series, right? Remember the big Gear series, the one that curved with the curved screen that had the LTE and everything? Out of all the manufacturers, Samsung is the only one that actually started trying to launch its own ecosystem because it's seen what Apple was doing with theirs. Hector says in Android O, Google will provide an easier way to update phones. Now the ball is in the manufacturer's court. There's no reason why they won't be able to update a phone faster. And Hector, that is a valid point. Hector, very, very valid point. Thank you for your comment. But the problem is, and you hit the nail right on the head, that it's in the manufacturer's court. So what does Google say? If you want the latest and greatest update, if you want the latest and greatest that Google has to offer, then rush down here and get yourself a brand new Pixel phone where we'll support it up to 2 years and give you security updates for up to 3. I mean, hey, it's right there. Now, what happens? So, even though the update gets pushed out faster, yes, it's up to the manufacturer, but guess who else it's up to? It's up to the phone carrier. It's up to the carrier to push that update, because now you got the manufacturer that says, okay, we're doing what we need to do on our end. Samsung, gets Android O. Samsung says, okay, we're going to overlay it. We're going to make TouchWiz work with Android O. Okay, we got it working there. Okay, now we're going to send it to AT&T, T-Mobile, Sprint, and Verizon, and some of the MVOs. Hey, Daily Gaming Unit, how you doing? Thank you so much for joining. But we got to send it out to these carriers, so these carriers can add whatever they want to add to it, whether it be bloatware or carrier settings or whatever it may be, so that the carrier can work with it. But then Google says, hey, if you buy a Pixel phone, you don't have to worry about all that. Kind of funny how that works, right? Because when the iPhone came out, it didn't have, and still does not have, any bloat from a carrier on there. The only bloat that it's got on it is the official apps from Apple, and some of those apps are really, really good, So it's not like the Android can't do it. It's not like it can't be done, because it can. But what Google is saying is that if you want the latest and greatest, if you want to use the best of the best of what Android has to offer, then you have to buy a Pixel phone. I've been really good, Daily Gaming Unit. How have you been? Thank you so much for joining the chat, and thank you for asking. I've been really good, just relaxing and resting, and enjoyed my hot dogs today on the 4th of July. Hector says, not with this new way of updates. They partitioned the carrier's portion apart from the regular OS part. Oh, okay. So I get what you're saying. So you're gonna get the regular OS from the manufacturer or whatever, and then the carrier will just add their stuff on later. So you'll get the main update first, and then whatever the carriers have to do will be given to you at a different day and time. That's pretty cool, but it still doesn't solve the problem. That could cause further complications down the road that we don't know about. Could be something that we're not really sure about. And I'm not saying that to just be negative Nancy or anything like that. I just kind of wanted to point that out. That there could be other things. There could be where they don't jive. Where they're not talking. But the concept of it is really good. But again, we're gonna see Google come out, and you can mark my words. We're going to see Google come out and say, hey, if you want the best of the best, then you need to get this Pixel phone or whatever it is, because Nexus is dead. And that's something I don't really understand about Google. Why did Google even come out with the Nexus program if they knew that they were going to do away with it? They should have kept the Nexus program. They should have kept the Nexus program going, but manufactured their own phone with the Nexus program, instead of saying, well, we're going to do Pixel. We're going to do Pixel. Why? See, that's something that ticks me. That's something that totally ticks me off about Google, right? Is Google will have these great products that they'll come out with. Remember at Google I/O one year, they came out with that ball that had the light that went around it, and you had NFC on your phone, and you could walk up and tap your phone to the ball, and it had 50 watts. Was it 50 watts or 25 watts? And you could plug external speakers in to have stereo surround. I thought that was the coolest product. It was going to sell for $300. a little steep, but I thought that was the coolest product. Oh, I thought it was awesome. Google Glass, I thought Google Glass was cool. Everybody was like, "Oh, well, you're a glass hole and all that." Yeah, screw that. Google has great products, ideas, and they'll announce them like with that little home theater ball. Nexus Q, that's it. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So the Nexus Q, I thought the product was great. I thought it was awesome. I'd be able to just pair it with my phone, just tapping it with an NFC. And I was like, man, I'd really like to have one of those in my house. And what they do, they discontinued it because people didn't like it, because people thought it was too high. But you didn't give people a chance. You could have put it out there for $300 and then said, "Oh, well, it's too high. Okay, I'll tell you what, we're going to do a sale. We're going to do a sale on it right now, $150. We're going to have it. $150, you can take it. Google Glass, same thing, $1,500. Okay, you know what? We're going to do a trial. We're going to do a trial where we're going to cut it in half. You can buy it right now for $750 or $600, and you can try it out." Google has these great ideas. They have these products that they put out that are really, really awesome, and they cancel it. They just cancel it. You don't even know if the product's going to sink or swim. You don't even know if the product's any good, and you just cancel it. Come on, man. That's another difference between Apple and Google, is that when Apple puts out something, it's polished. It's working right. It's not a beta. I don't feel like I'm a beta tester. That's I don't want to be a beta tester. Apple TV, I love my Apple TV. I love it. And here's something that some of y'all may not know in my chat. Some of y'all may or may not know. But did you know that my phone, I can just go up, if I'm setting up a new Apple TV, I just go up and I tap it just like the Nexus Q, and all my information's in there. That's what I'm saying. I mean, they took that from the Nexus Q, but it was super simple. I wish it had a way that I could hook up. It's got an optical cable out, so I can hook it up like that. Hector says it evolved into the Chromecast, I think. Not sure about that one. Yeah, I feel you on that one. Yo, Daily Gaming says Google makes me mad sometimes as well. Yeah, exactly, man. Because you're like, what are they thinking? What? Okay, and here's my problem. And I'm glad you brought this up, Hector, the Chromecast. Guys, the Chromecast is a cool concept. Don't get me wrong. But the thing that gets me about the Chromecast, the thing that really just grinds my gears about the Chromecast, is that my phone has to stay on if I'm watching a movie, or if I'm doing YouTube, or if I'm doing something like that. The phone, when I'm casting something to the Chromecast, I don't like that. I don't like that the phone has to be on in order to do something in Chromecast. I think it would have been better had, when you do the Chromecast app, if you click on Netflix or you click on YouTube, that you're able to click whatever show you want and then set it to the side, and your phone goes, it turns the screen off or whatever. The screen don't stay on. Because what if you're over at a friend's house and you only got 30% battery and you got a movie on your phone and you're like, "Hey man, I want y'all to check this movie out." And they're like, "Oh, okay, well hook it up to the Chromecast." And your phone dies. That I don't like that. Or you have to plug it up, and then your plug's over in the kitchen while your TV's in the living room. Come on, man. You should have been able for a Chromecast to come like the Amazon Fire Stick with a remote. Honestly, you should have been able to have the Chromecast work with the remote. You could have been able, and this is honest, this is just how I feel. Google should have been able to put Android TV on a Chromecast. They were pushing it. They were pushing it. Look at the NVIDIA Shield. Oh, we got Android TV. Why? Put it on the Chromecast. I can still be able to cast stuff from my phone if I want to. But if my phone's dead, if I have to charge it, guess what? I got a remote and it's got Android TV on the Chromecast and I can do it from there. Why didn't they do that? Why didn't they do that? You could still sold it for $35. You could have been $5 cheaper than Android Fire Stick and still had Google Assistant on it. Come on, man. Come on. That makes absolutely no sense to me. You could have done that. You could have done that. You could have done that before Amazon Fire Stick come out. Now what? Amazon Fire Stick is one of the biggest selling streaming devices on Amazon. You know, I mean, granted, we all know what everybody's using it for, but still, Google could have been the first to do that. Google should have been the first to do that, but they didn't do it. And that's what I'm saying. Google has a lot of stuff to do to tighten up its ecosystem. Google has a lot of stuff to do to tighten up its Android, its open source. Meaning that in order for Google to improve, Google's going to have to become closed source. You know, it's guys. I don't know. It just blows my mind that you got one of the biggest companies in the world, and they have they take stuff and they just throw it to the wall and see what sticks, without actually saying, okay, it may slide a little bit, but it's still sticking. It didn't fall off. You know, I mean, come on. You know, you have wireless charging. You have wireless charging in your phones. You know, way before Apple, way before anybody, you have wireless charging in your phones. You could have pushed that. You know, you could have said, hey, not only do we have wireless charging, fast wireless charging, but we also have when you plug your phone up to an outlet, if there's not wireless charging around, we got fast charging that way too. You know, I mean, they could have done that. There's so much that they could have done. And don't get me wrong, Apple's made missteps too. You know, Apple got behind the curve. Apple could have had wireless charging a while back. They could have probably had wireless charging in the iPhone 4S or the iPhone 4 or the iPhone 5. You know, they could have had it in there. They could have had NFC a long time ago. They could have done it, you know, but they didn't, you know, and it's kind of like why everybody could have already been adapted and used to using this or used to doing that, and you didn't do it. You didn't do it at all, you know, and I don't understand that. I don't know why these companies sometimes make these missteps, and maybe some of it has to be is because these guys that are up there in those positions making these decisions at Apple, at Google, and stuff, maybe they don't see it from where we see it as the consumer. They don't see it from where we sit and say, hey, you know, I really like that Nexus Q. I really like the way it functions. I like the idea of it. I like the fact that all I have to do is buy some really, really good bookshelf speakers to set up and have stereo surround, you know, to be able to do that. You know, I could go get me a wireless subwoofer and pair it up with the Nexus Q, and I got a 3.1 system, or something like 2.1. I got a 2.1 mini surround sound because I can't put a big surround sound in my apartment, but this works really, really good. I can listen to my music. I can watch videos on it. I can do anything I want to without really having to worry about my phone. You know, I would love to see them. I would love to see them come back out with a Nexus Q, maybe a little smaller, you know, not like that, but maybe a little bit smaller, you know, have it maybe dressed up like R2D2 or BB-8 or something. I think that would be really cool. I really, really do. But we'll just have to see. I mean, I don't know if Google would ever see this video or see this live stream or anything, but I think a Nexus Q would be awesome with that, you know, and that's one of the problems. That's one of the problems why I have such a hard time in switching to Android, you know, is because just like with Android Wear, you know, they haven't perfected Android Wear. And you're having a lot of these manufacturers that are not using Android Wear, you know, that are not coming out with watches that have Android Wear installed. You know, Apple's running away with the wearable market because it's a good, solid product. You know, and Google is capable of doing the same thing, but they're not consistent. consistent. That's one thing. I think that's my major gripe about Google is they're not consistent. My major gripe with Apple is they're not futuristic enough. Is that Apple's not willing to really just jump out there and take a chance. That Apple wants to say, okay, you know what? We're going to we're going to see what development they're doing. We got this development over here, and we're not going to get it out until we just absolutely perfect it. Well, sometimes in order to perfect something, it has to be tested. You know, you can throw it out there and say, hey, we got this new test that we want to do, and we want to see what it's going to be like for everybody, you know, before we just release it to the public. The same thing that they do for their beta program, you know. But I mean, that's just my opinion, guys. Let me know in chat if y'all have anything. If y'all, pardon me. Pardon me. But guys, let me know in chat if there's anything that you agree with, don't agree with. If there's anything that you want to add to the conversation, let me know. I'm going to take a couple of sips of water real quick because I've been talking a lot. And just let me know. Hit me up in chat. If y'all got any questions about me, want to know anything about me, or got any questions about, like I said, anything that I brought up or anything that I've said, then hit me up in chat, guys. Ooh, out of water on that one. Man, I tell you, tonight has just been awesome. You guys have been awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for all your comments. Thank you for everything, man. Y'all are awesome. Oh, I had to sit that water down. All right. Let's see. Anybody got anything? I'm just kind of waiting. I'm kind of waiting for y'all because it kind of takes a minute. But if let's see. Let me see something here. Okay. Man, I've been going on for 1 hour and 37 minutes. When am I going to sleep? I am actually fixing to get off here in a little bit, and then I'll be going to sleep in probably about another hour or two is when I'll be going to sleep, bro. Yep. That's about when I'm getting off. But if nobody else has got any questions or anything, I am definitely going to call it a night. I want to thank everybody for joining. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to thank Hector. I want to thank Umbro. I want to thank Daily Gaming Unit. I want to thank Tech for Your Needs. I want to thank Oreo Gonzalez. I'd like to thank all of you for watching and all of you for being here with me. It's been awesome chat. Thank you so much. Oh man, 1:45. Yeah, you're up late, dude. You're up real late. But I want to thank everybody. I want to thank all y'all for what you're doing, for sticking it out with me, for staying up so late. Thank you so much. Thank you. I greatly appreciate it. If you ever want to hit me up on social media, I'm on Facebook at Subzerojray Gaming on Facebook.com. You can hit me up on there. Hit me with a comment. Hit me with a friend request. I'm also on PlayStation at Subzerojray Gaming on PlayStation. So you can also hit me up on there if you game or anything. But as always, it's your boy Subzerojray saying peace. Have a blessed night. Thank you so much. And if you haven't already, hit that like button, pound that subscribe button. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart. As always, this Subzerojray saying have a great night, a blessed night. Peace. I'll see you later. I'm out.